Hi, I'm Bob Moore, and this is the second video in our study of consuming JSON with the Twitter API. And what we're going to do today is take a look at processing the JSON server side using XBasic. So we're using the search API here. So what we're looking at here is the exact same component, except instead of processing the information with JavaScript, we're going to use XBasic. So we'll look at the functionality. We're going to retrieve 100 tweets with referencing the Red Sox. You'll see the functionality looks exactly the same. The styling is the same. CSS is the same. A lot of it's the same except the JavaScript and the XBasic and some of the events. Let's go take a look at it. So this should all look familiar to you. When we look at the JavaScript functions that are defined, all we see is the changing the alias for jQuery there. Let's go look at the XBasic functions, and here we'll see, so this is the getTweets function that was previously done using JavaScript, and now we're using XBasic. So this is what we will call with a AJAX callback, and we're going to do that right when the component loads, and we're going to do that when you click on the search button. So let's go back at the controls. We'll take a look at how that actually happens. So for the events on client side, on initialize complete, this is where we're going to go ahead and fire off the alpha 5 AJAX callback, calling the function getTweets, passing in a couple of parameters. In this case, defaults, Red Sox, and the count equals 35. And client side, after AJAX callback completes, we're going to go ahead and change the image within the search button. We're going to change it to a green. So there aren't any server-side events that are going on here. So let's go ahead and we'll look back at that XBasic function. So let's go ahead and take a look at getTweets again. Here we dim P as P. Then we go ahead and process the parameters that we've passed in. They're going to be in the E object. E underbar search text. We're going to go ahead and URL encode that. Then we're going to go ahead and use HTTP post, talk to the Twitter search API. We're going to pass in these two parameters, underbar search text and underbar count. Going to look and see whether any error codes come back. Hopefully they don't. If they do, we're going to just go ahead and pop up a JavaScript alert, and that'll be the end of that. In here, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to start to massage the data that's coming back. So all of this right in here, all this code is really just cleaning up the JSON. It's just pulling out the information that we're interested in. I'm not going to go into the details of that. We're using stritran, which hopefully you all know about. We're using filter string. We're using stritran smatch. We're going to provide this code so that you'll have it. You can use the debugger to take a look at JSON string and step through this and see exactly what goes on. If you've never used the XBasic debugger, all you have to do is just type in debug1. Go ahead and go into working preview. The debugger fires. Here's our breakpoint. If we'd like to look at any expression, go ahead and enter that in. I can expand it, and here I can see this is all the JSON that's come back. And I can now step through it. So I can study the results as we go on through. In this case, I might want to take a look at HTML. That's the code that we're calculating. I can actually see what's going on. I can see the HTML that we're generating here with the tweets in it and so on. I can go ahead and continue to just step through it. You'll notice what happened to it here, and just go ahead and click on run, and you're back in the program. So that's just a quick overview of how to use debug. What we're doing here, we're just filtering the P body. So you'll see P body comes back here. We set JSON string to that, and then we're just filtering and massaging right there. Then you can see here's the template that actually generates the HTML. This is kind of neat. So also you'll notice in here the placeholders for the data, ds.data, and then profile underbar image underbar URL. This should look familiar because these are the same reference items that we used in JavaScript. These come from the Twitter API. And the other thing that's interesting to note is that we're actually calling an XBasic function right from within the template. So here we're calling stritran. We're just pulling out the quotes and replacing them with the HTML quote. And then all the magic actually happens right here with the A5 merge data into template. And the final thing that we do is we clean up the Ajax payload. This is a function that I wrote because I found JS escape was a little bit too aggressive, so I'm just pulling out the tabs, carriage return, line feeds. I go ahead and escape the quotes that are left within the payload, and then that's that. And we just go ahead and we send that back, and notice what we're sending back. So we're sending back JavaScript, and here we're sending back jQuery. Select the div called twit_list and replace all the HTML with the HTML that we just calculated. So all of that does that. And so you can see it's actually quite simple. We've got some beautiful styling here. It all works the way you might like. And you might say, well, gee, why do I want to go through the process of processing all this information server side when I can do it client side? And the answer to that is, if you are interested in, say, storing the data, say you wanted to pull these tweets out and go ahead and store them in a table, well, you could do that by doing it this way. Doing it through JavaScript, you could still do it. It would be a little bit tricky, probably easier to do it this way. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you learned something along the way. Thanks.